The Last of Us, Joel and Ellie. It's like Finding Nemo meets The Walking Dead. Today, we'll dive deep into The Last of Us and examine Joel's willingness to do whatever it takes to protect Ellie. We will also examine the importance of emotional connections in our lives and the difficult choices we must make to protect the people we love. Meet Joel, a hardened survivor who lost everything he ever cared for. In this dangerous and ruthless world, only the strongest will survive. Joel's tragic backstory is a crucial part of his character and motivation in The Last of Us. Before the outbreak, Joel was a loving father and a devoted family man. However, when the infection began to spread, chaos and destruction quickly followed. In the chaos that ensued, Joel's young daughter, Sarah, was killed in a horrific incident, leaving him devastated and alone in a world that had become hostile and unpredictable. This loss hardened Joel and turned him into a survivor, willing to do whatever it takes to stay alive. Let's take a moment to analyze the situation thus far. Joel's loss of his daughter has had a profound and lasting impact on his psyche. Losing a child is one of the most devastating experiences anyone can go through, and it's no surprise that Joel has struggled to cope with this trauma in the years since. The loss of his daughter has left Joel with deep emotional scars, including feelings of guilt, anger, and despair. He may have questioned his own abilities as a father and wondered if there was more he could have done to protect his daughter in the face of such circumstances. This kind of survivor's guilt is common among people who have experienced traumatic events. It can lead to feelings of hopelessness and despair. Numbness. In addition to these emotional scars, Joel has also developed a kind of emotional numbness that is typical of people who have experienced trauma. He may have learned to suppress his feelings and to focus only on the practical aspects of survival, such as finding food, shelter, and avoiding danger. This type of emotional detachment can be useful in the short term, but it can also prevent people from forming close relationships and experiencing any sort of joy or happiness. When he lost his daughter, he was plunged into a world of pain and grief, and the emotional toll of all that experience was almost too much to bear. To protect himself from the overwhelming emotions that threatened to consume him, Joel learned to shut down his feelings, to detach himself from his own emotions and the emotions of those around him. As the years passed, Joel became more and more ruthless, willing to do whatever it takes to protect himself and those he cares about. He learned to trust no one and to rely only on himself, becoming a hardened survivor in a world that had no place for weakness. Moving on in the story, Joel's life changes forever when he's tasked with escorting a young girl named Ellie across the country. But Ellie is no ordinary girl. She's immune to the fungus that has destroyed civilization. The Fireflies, a group of resistance fighters, believe that Ellie is the key to developing a vaccine and saving humanity. As Joel and Ellie travel together, they encounter countless dangers, from hostile humans to infected creatures that will stop at nothing to kill them. But through it all, they form an unbreakable bond, becoming a family in a world where family is hard to come by. Their journey takes them through breathtaking landscapes, each more treacherous than the last. As they face seemingly insurmountable challenges, they must also confront their own demons, haunted by past traumas and losses. The bond between Joel and Ellie is a complex and multifaceted one, shaped by their shared experiences and the challenges they face together. At the beginning of their journey, Joel is distant and cold towards Ellie, seeing her only as a means to an end. He is still grappling with the loss of his daughter and the emotional numbness that has come to define his life. Ellie, on the other hand, is a young and vibrant girl, full of life and hope, but also carrying her own traumas and fears. As they travel together, their relationship begins to shift and evolve. Joel begins to see in Ellie a glimmer of hope, a chance to make up for his past failures and to build a new family in a world where family is really hard to come by. Ellie, in turn, begins to see in Joel a kind of surrogate father figure, someone who can guide and protect her in a world that is often cruel and unforgiving. Their bond is strengthened by the countless dangers they face together, from hostile humans to infected monsters that will stop at nothing to kill them. They must rely on each other for survival, and in doing so, they develop a certain level of trust. But their bond is also shaped by the personal struggles they face. Joel must confront his past traumas and his own emotional numbness, if he's to have any hope of a brighter future. Ellie, on the other hand, must come to terms with her own fears and insecurities, grappling with the weight of her immunity and the responsibility that comes with it. In the end, their bond is tested in ways they could never have imagined. From a psychological point of view, the story arc between Joel and Ellie is one of growth and transformation. They begin as two people haunted by their past traumas and struggles, but through their shared experiences, they learn to confront their inner demons and to rely on each other for support and guidance. In the end, their bond becomes a beacon of hope in a world that is often dark and unforgiving. As we reach the climax of the story, Joel and Ellie finally reach the Fireflies, a group of resistance fighters who believe that Ellie's immunity to the disease could be the key to saving humanity. The hope of a cure for this catastrophic disease hangs in the balance as the fate of humanity rests on the shoulders of this young girl. However, as they arrive at the Fireflies' base, they are met with a devastating revelation. Ellie must be sacrificed in order to create the vaccine from her immunity. For Joel, who has come to see Ellie as his second chance at fatherhood, this news is unbearable. The thought of losing the one person he cares most about in this world after losing his own daughter is too much for him to bear. Driven by an intense anger and a fierce determination to protect her at all costs, Joel takes matters into his own hands. He will stop at nothing to save Ellie from her fate, even if it means sacrificing innocent lives in the process. For him, Ellie is a second chance, a chance to make up for his past mistakes and to create a new family in a world that has taken so much from him. As he fights his way through the Fireflies, Joel's past traumas and emotions come flooding back. The memories of losing his daughter and the emotional numbness that has defined his life threaten to consume him. But his love for Ellie keeps him going. With every step he takes, the line between right and wrong becomes increasingly blurred. Joel's determination to save Ellie is both inspiring and terrifying. He will stop at nothing to keep her safe, even if it means sacrificing his own humanity in the process. As he eliminates anyone who stands in his way, his actions become increasingly ruthless and remorseless. The weight of his past traumas and the emotions he has suppressed for so long threaten to consume him. But he pushes through, driven by a single-minded determination to save Ellie at any cost. In the end, Joel's desperate and ruthless actions succeeded in saving Ellie's life, but the price he pays is a heavy one. The weight of his choices and the moral ambiguity of his actions weigh heavily on his soul, casting an even darker shadow over his life. The consequences of his actions will forever haunt him as he grapples with the knowledge that innocent lives were sacrificed to protect the one person he loves more than anything. The cost of his actions is not only the lives of others, but also his own humanity, as he plunges deeper into a dark and tormented existence. The love that Joel has for Ellie remains steadfast, but it is a love that is now shrouded in sorrow and pain. The beacon of hope that once burned so brightly within him has dimmed, and he struggles to find meaning and purpose in a world that is increasingly bleak and unforgiving. Joel's story is a tragic one, a cautionary tale of the terrible cost of survival in a world where the lines between right and wrong are blurred. What does this teach us? Joel's ruthlessness towards the Fireflies in order to save Ellie can be seen as a manifestation of our inner psychopathy. Psychopathy is a personality disorder characterized by a lack of empathy, remorse, and moral conscience, as well as a tendency towards impulsive behavior and a disregard for societal norms. One might argue that a psychopath wouldn't care about saving someone's life, but what if that person's life is the goal? One might say psychopaths are selfish, but what if Joel's motivation was that selfish? What if his motivations was to never feel the hurt of having someone he cares about be taken away from him ever again? In Joel's case, his psychopathic tendencies are not necessarily a part of his personality, but rather a result of his traumatic past and the emotional numbness that has come to define his life. His past traumas, particularly the loss of his daughter, have led him to suppress his emotions and adopt a cold and ruthless persona in order to survive in a dangerous and unpredictable world. Joel's willingness to sacrifice innocent lives in order to save Ellie can be seen as a result of his lack of empathy and moral conscience. He is willing to do whatever it takes to protect Ellie, even if it means disregarding the lives and well-being of others. His actions are impulsive and driven by his emotional attachment to Ellie, rather than a rational decision based on moral principles. His behavior can be seen as a response to the extreme circumstances of his world, rather than a part of his core personality. Joel's actions to save Ellie, despite the cost and ethical moral implications, can be seen as a reflection of the extreme length we may go to protect the people we love. Think about it. Many of us would do anything to save the life of a loved one, even if it means breaking the law, violating ethical principles, or compromising our own moral beliefs. However, this raises important questions about the line between right and wrong and the ethical considerations we must take into account in our own lives. While our love for others may drive us to do extreme things, it is important to consider the consequences of our actions and the impact they may have on others. The story of Joel and Ellie can also serve as a reminder of the importance of emotional connection and the impact it can have on our actions. Joel's love for Ellie drove him to take extreme measures, but it also served as a source of strength and resilience in the face of adversity. Our emotional connections to others can motivate us to do great things, but they can also cloud our judgment and lead us to make irrational decisions. In the end, the story of Joel and Ellie highlights the complexity of our own struggles and the difficult choices we must take in order to protect the people we love. While our actions may not always align with our moral beliefs, they are a reflection of the strength and depth of our emotional connections to others. It is up to us to navigate the complexities of our own lives and find a balance between our emotional attachment and the ethical considerations that guide our decisions.